come here. I don't know if all of you are familiar with him, but you can check, for example, his TEDx speech from Varna last year. It was very interesting and inspiring. And we are speaking with him about different applications of the blockchain. He's actually very interested in changing the world in a better way using the blockchain. And
he's talking like I'm not here.
Sorry, I will. I know you will say it better.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm not going to bore you with who I am and what I've done and all of that kind of crap. You can read it on Google. Just Google Dr. Mel Gill. You'll know everything about my life. I come to Varna so that I don't give talks. I come to Varna to not work. So, because my office, I don't know if you know it right now, but if you want to meet me at any time, I'm always in my office, and that's at Costa Coffee, right, you know, in Chernomore. That's where I work, that's where I create books, that's where I write. And people ask me why I come and live in Varna. I've been living here for 4 years now, maybe 4.5 years, because nobody wants to come here. That's why I come here. I love this place for that reason, because I have time to think, I have no time for meetings and wasting and da-da-da-da-da. But Galin is a friend, and I met him 6 months ago, and I was inspired by the fact that he wants to push Bulgarians forward into the crypto space and to understand this whole thing. So I want to help as much as possible, because I consider myself a citizen of Varna as much as possible. I will be probably here until the day I die, because I love this place so much. It's grown on me. I cannot imagine being anywhere else to relax. In Singapore, I'm not relaxed. In Chicago, I'm not relaxed. Although this is like Chicago, by the way, the snow and everything. This is exactly what it's like to wake up every day for 6 months out of the year in Chicago. So I don't miss home. This is really cool. Now, I'm a writer, I'm a psychologist for the last 35, 40 years of my life. Now you're asking, why is a psychologist involved in the world of cryptocurrency? Well, because ever since I started the work, I wanted to change people's minds. I wanted people to become happier. It's very difficult. When I first came to Bulgaria, to Sofia, and I did my first seminar, and I was selling the Meta Secret book, because the secret told you a little bit of a bullshit lie. And the bullshit is, think positive and positive things happen in your life. You and I both know that that's not true. Because no matter how positive we are, bad things still happen to us. So what the hell? Why is it happening to all of these people? Why are they becoming wealthy and you are not becoming wealthy? Well, because Bob Proctor, who is my friend, Jack Canfield, who is my friend. I love these people. I'm about to say bad things, but I love these people. Joe Vitale, who's my friend, Jay Abraham. These are all my friends. They make their money by standing in front of you and telling seminars on how to think positive so that positive things happen to you. And you pay $5,000 to people like Anthony Robbins and all these superstars. They go home wealthy while you say, I have to think positive. And if you do not have the things you want, then you did something wrong. Not them, you. What a great way to come back for another seminar so that you can learn something new. So I teach people to run seminars. My whole life, for the last 25 years, I teach people, come, I will teach you how to stand in front of people, deliver a seminar on something you like. Workshop, it doesn't matter what. Even if you charge people 100 leva a day, or a weekend, Saturday, Sunday, 100 leva, and you have 50 people, how much money is that? I failed mathematics, so you're going to have to help me. That's $1,000. You cannot make that in a job. You can only do it in a seminar. That's 1 day of work. So I teach people to teach. I teach people to become seminar leaders. Now, after about 1.5 years ago, when I started talking about my son, see, my son is about 26 years old. How many people have children? Raise your hands. Yeah, you know what I mean, huh? Sometimes I understand how you know, animals eat their young. Because if I knew, I would have eaten him when he was very young. But now, it's endless source of money. He's asking for money because his money is gone all the time. And then he's supposed to be working, he's supposed to be doing stuff, but he has a lot of money. And then early last year, he was losing a lot of money. I said, Luke, how come you're working so hard and I see you losing money? Well, Dad, I've been investing in cryptocurrencies. Crypto what? Cryptocurrencies. What the hell is cryptocurrency? That's monopoly money, is it? What is it? Well, it's bitcoins. Well, it's not so big. I'm going to give you a lot of money. That's more than bitcoins. He said, yeah, I made a mistake here. I invested this and this went down and that went up. And I said, I had a great idea. Why don't we become the exchange? Why don't we help people to learn how to do this correctly and not gamble like they do in the stock market or in the casino? So that's what I've been doing all throughout Asia and all throughout the Western world, teaching people how to trade without losing money. In other words, recognize an ICO that's a scam and an ICO that is really good. How do you recognize the value of one? Because last year, 47% of all ICOs in 2017 failed. 2017. Billions of dollars gone up in smoke. So, how many people here, so that I know how fast to go or how slow to go, how many people here have been trading for a while? Trading cryptocurrencies. Good. How many years, roughly? 2 years, 3 years? 1 year. Okay, good. How many people here understand blockchains? Good. How many people understand it enough to come and give a talk? Okay, good. Only 3 or 4 or 5. Fantastic. And how many people here would like to learn more about blockchains? Okay, good. How many people here would like to learn more about cryptocurrencies? Today is not about trading. Maybe we'll do that another day. But today I want to teach you the whole idea of what's happening in the ICO world, especially in Asia. I spent a lot of time in Singapore. Singapore is one of the most friendliest places. If you are starting an ICO, there are 2 places I would start, Bulgaria and Singapore. And after March 28, begin in Belarus. Because if you begin in Belarus, which is not very far, it's next to Estonia or Lithuania, one of those countries, you have 5 years tax holiday. You can make millions, you don't have to pay taxes. Isn't that good? That's an amazing thing. We'll talk about ICOs in a minute. So, for those of you, we're going to start from the beginning, if you don't mind. And if I'm going too slow, tell me to hurry up. If I'm going too, if you have any questions, stop me. Cool?
Yes, yeah, okay.
For one person, it's okay. They told me that Bulgarians are very shy. Because when you ask them a question, they don't answer. But I don't believe that. I believe Bulgarians don't recognize that I'm asking a question. So whenever I'm asking a question, I'll say, that's a question. I say, if you help me, I can go forward. Would that be useful? That's a question. Would that be useful?
Yes.
Okay, good, good, fantastic. Thank you very much. Next slide, sir. Welcome to the world, Marlon. You see, when you take a look at the, it's not very clear, but when you take a look at the crypto world, you see all kinds of strange people on it. Hippies are on it. I don't know if you remember the story about the man in France who sold his house, sold all his possessions, sold his car, and everything, and he bought nothing but bitcoins. And the whole world was laughing at him. Now he's laughing at the whole world. He's a mega millionaire, and everybody's saying, can you please lend me some money? So you have a lot of people there who have an inspiration mindset. They want to be a hero. They want to beat the system. Because the banks, how many bankers are there here? People who work in banks. Okay, good. I just needed to bring you up to the front, if you were. But the whole idea of cryptocurrencies is to stop the banks from raping the people. Because when you have a house and you have a mortgage on a house, you have a loan, after 20 years of paying back that loan, you have the house, but you have paid 2 times or 3 times the value of the house. Who's making the money? The banks. Who's losing the money and losing your life? You're spending 20 to 30 years working so hard, and then when you finish paying for your house, you have no money left for yourself. And so as a result, you're still working hard at McDonald's or some other place, and you have to learn a phrase. Would you like fries with that? You know, that kind of thing. It's terrible. So we are trying to, in the crypto world, to change everything. And there's a whole bunch of things that's involved in this as well. And I think, as of 2 months ago, when I was in the Philippines, I think I might have found Satoshi Nakamoto. Actually, I think he's Filipino. And this guy is crazy as, I can't use words like that. Hell, he's crazy as hell. And amazing. And he came up with a whole bunch of things, new things that he's adding to the Bitcoin chain that you have no idea is improving it like nobody's business. And even Orlin, who's a technical genius, can't understand Bitcoin Core. Not Bitcore, but Bitcoin Core, which is very interesting phenomenon that the guy is working with. Anyway, next slide. The future was yesterday. The revolution has happened even while we were sleeping. So we are all going digital. Even our wallets are going digital. And if you want to, you can take pictures, but I'm going to give you a gift. At the end of this program, all my slides are available to you. Would that be nice?
Yeah.
Okay, because I want you to go teach more people. If I can help you with more slides, I would. I would have added more slides, but I was told I had to be at 6:30. So I didn't have time to add more stuff. But I would. The next one maybe we'll do a little bit better. Because I want you to have as much information as possible before you get into the crypto world. Because sometimes it's best not to touch it, because you'll be in big trouble. Next slide, please. So, let's get the facts in order here. Lehman Brothers has 639 billion in assets, and their debt, 613 billion. Bitcoin, first Bitcoin was mined many, many years ago in 2009, and at that point Bitcoin was worth nothing. And in fact, some people could have bought it maybe a few months later for 0.0000 cents. The pizza guy, remember that fellow? Yeah. That's a real story. That's not a made-up story. That fellow is now anonymous because he has more Bitcoin than anybody can ever imagine, and he is now spending it in ways, he's giving it out to charity, anonymously. So when you take a look at everything, you're going to notice that Bitcoin, so far, the highest it's reached, ATH is all-time high, some terms they used, is about 20,000 plus. Now you see it about 10. It's flying below 10 and going up and down. Funniest thing is, what you don't see is what I see, and because I'm starting an exchange, a Bitcoin private exchange, because the amount of Bitcoin that's being changed right now in just 2 days alone, because my son and I are involved in this. My son is in Singapore, beginning his ICO. There is about 400,000 ICOs that exchange, 400,000 Bitcoins that exchange hands between yesterday and today. 400,000 just in Singapore alone. Now, can you imagine around the world? Because people are buying and selling billions of dollars of Bitcoins, and these are institutions. Now, the institutions, like the institutional banks, like JP Morgan and all this, are secretly buying a ton of Bitcoins. What do they know that we don't know? That now it looks scary, people are selling, because it's going down. Well, there's possibility, and it looks like it's true, and ask me later why, that Bitcoin by April, May, June will probably be around 60,000 or more. But we'll talk about it in a minute. So let's go to the next slide. What is a secret code I can tell you so I don't have to say, let's go to the next slide. Now? Or Orlin? This is Orlin. Orlin, would you not introduce yourself to everybody? Single women in the group? Good, fantastic. I told him there's going to be lots of single women here, so he came. Otherwise he wouldn't be here.
I'm not single, I'm just one woman. I didn't understand your question. Yeah. I mean,
The first bomb just already gone. Sorry, I tried my best. Straight away she said no. Didn't even give you a chance. We're starting a revolution with cryptocurrencies. It's a quiet revolution. The people in charge of the banks and everywhere else did not expect this to take place. Did not expect such consensus among people to bring this kind of currency out. They did not expect this. So as a result, they're trying to stop a lot of people from knowing too much about Bitcoins and so on and so forth. So they're trying to keep it quiet. No ads on Facebook. I wonder what's the next ban that they're going to have. To begin any revolution, you need to doubt authority. Then you need to have evolution of a means and then a clearer vision of the future. The problem is we launched Bitcoins and cryptocurrencies without a vision. We know we want to be free from the banks, but we're not exactly sure how we're going to reach it. The problem is 95% of the people who start all the cryptocurrencies and Bitcoins do not have a vision for humanity's future, just their own. And we'll talk about the kind of money we're talking about. Olin. So, power to the people. This is where blockchains come in and the rise of cryptocurrencies. This is really the biggest experiment. People call Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies a bubble. It's never happened before, so we cannot put it in a class of bubbles. There's no such thing. Bubbles in the past did not have consensus. We do, which is amazing. Bubbles in the past did not have value given to something that's code, which is now what we have, which is revolutionary by itself. Orlin? Digital ledger is what a blockchain is written on. So if you want a definition of a blockchain, this is the classic definition. Even your grandmother will understand this is very simple. It's a ledger, that means like an accounting ledger, and on the accounting ledger are all the transactions that everyone can see, every transaction that's made. That's why it makes it very transparent. Next one. So there are the different differentiations. When we say something is centralized, there is a center, and from the center it comes out. This is classic. This is banking systems, this is government systems, and everything else that we have. Even the systems that control the things you need, like water, electricity, gas, all of those things. Then we want to decentralize them, which is what most governments do. And when you decentralize, you privatize all these different things. You create many centers. What we are aiming for with Bitcoin and several other cryptocurrencies, maybe only about 150 cryptocurrencies are doing this, is to head towards a distributed. Distributed means that each one of us, instead of making from one bank to many different banks, everybody on the planet now becomes a bank. Everybody on the planet now becomes an exchange. Everybody who has one of these can now become your own issuer of money. You can tokenize everything from your car to your house to everything. Amazing, amazing technology. Next. This is what it looks like when you see it in all the literature and everything else out there. It will show it to you with these nice little bright lights. Next. Now, what makes it so safe is the fact that it's not hosted somewhere. It's everywhere. Because it's a distributed ledger, it means that that ledger or that accounting system, you can see it on your phone. It's floating in the web. It doesn't belong to anybody. So all the exchanges that you want to start belong to no one. It's on the web. So that's the exciting part of it. No one controls it, which is the good part. Next. Tell me if I'm moving too fast. Am I moving too fast?
This is okay.
No, okay. I just put this up here because I want you to be able to take this home so that you'll have a way to explain to your children. This is made so simple so that a person will know what a blockchain is and how it works. Very simply, a user requests a transaction. Then the transaction is represented as a block. The block is broadcasted to everybody, and that network of nodes or people who say yes or no validates the transaction. And now a new block of data is created, and then the transaction is complete. When the transaction is complete, it creates one block, and a miner, or whoever is doing the validation, gets paid a coin. So when you have many blocks together, it's a blockchain. Next. So there are so many advantages of a blockchain. Number one, reliability. It will not break down because everybody has a copy. So if you lose a ledger or you lose a copy, he has it, or he has it, somebody has it. Nobody will ever lose it. Also at the same time, there is no more intermediaries. The whole idea with cryptocurrencies is disintermediation. It means we remove all the middlemen. There is no more middlemen. So that's why fees are very, very low. Next. Here's another graph so that if you have to explain this to somebody, let's say, how many people are teaching these things? Anybody teaching anyone? Any teachers here or intend to teach, want to teach about cryptocurrencies and blockchain? Good, fantastic.
Not exactly teachers, we just make some meetings that we explain to other people.
Oh, okay. This chart will be very useful for you because you'll be able to go through the benefits and the knowns and the unknowns. Cool? So that's at your disposal as well. Next. There is a blockchain for every industry on the planet. The industries that have, right now, blockchains have been used for the last 4 years in the legal industry. We've been replacing lawyers with AI systems, artificial intelligence systems. Lawyers, if you are studying to be a lawyer right now, your children are, they're going to be jobless in less than 2 years. They're not going to have a job. Supply chain, especially if you're a large grocery store or you're a large intercontinental supplier of goods and services, supply chain, government. Soon, what's going to happen, probably within 20 years, is governments will not exist the way it does right now. Because right now it's corrupt. Right now, people who are lobbyists pay certain government officials to get certain laws passed. You know how it works in Bulgaria? It works exactly like that in every country in the world, except Singapore. In Singapore, there is no crime. Did you know that? Yeah. In Singapore, there is no crime because the government hates competition. They are the ones who rake from the people, and they do it officially because they write the laws. So if you work within the laws, oh, by the way, is this being filmed? You're going to have to erase that part. This does not go live. I will be in jail. I will not be able to walk around. In Singapore, it's very, very funny. The way it works is, some people say there's a lack of freedom, political freedom. If you say one thing wrong about the government, no questions asked, you are in jail first. So when I first came to Bulgaria, they said, are you going to be able to adjust to a communist country like Bulgaria? I said, this is nothing compared to Singapore. So this is actually perfect freedom. Also at the same time, it's being used by energy, food industries, healthcare, insurance, travel, hospitality, and education. I have a friend from Nepal who started an ICO. The guy does not know what he's doing. But at the same time, many years ago, he was a computer geek, and around 2010, 2011, he amassed for himself 50,000 bitcoins. He was just collecting it for no reason, because it was just for fun. Now he's made so much money, he's trying to help Nepal, his country, by starting an ICO in the travel industry. It's called xltrip.com. He's going to fail, but it's okay. He's happy. That's all that matters, because he's got more money to burn than anybody else, I know. Next. Now, blockchain applications are in everything. Financial services, data storage, peer-to-peer transactions, even non-financial services like digital identity, proof of ownership, even now with gold and silver. It's very interesting. So whenever you have a network and you're trying to use the network using Ethereum as a place to create tokens or build your contracts or your smart contracts, you now have a way to create an infrastructure and to watch what's happening on that blockchain. Next. There are several companies that have combined blockchain with artificial intelligence. Now, this is as of 2017, last year. Can you imagine how accelerated they will be? Because this year, IBM Watson signed a deal with one of the major blockchain companies to be able to produce a kind of software that is a little bit like Terminator. Do you know what I'm talking about? Arnold Schwarzenegger? Remember all that?
Yeah.
That blockchain is going to be able to think for itself. It's going to be able to make adjustments. There is a group that tried to do that. The self-adjusting ledger. I think it was Tezos. Anybody familiar with Tezos?
Yes, sir.
And they have a self-adjusting ledger, right? No?
Not exactly, but something like that.
They're working on something like that.
Yeah.
They haven't, apart from all the fights and legal battles and all of that, they are attempting to do something like that. And that's only first generation. Can you imagine when AI becomes mainstream and we learn how to use this thing, and when quantum computers come in, holy crap, I cannot imagine the world we're going to live in. I feel like I'm out of place, like a dinosaur. Anyway, all this is yours. Download it, read it, enjoy it. Next. Now, there are so many crypto exchanges out there. You need to be able to take a look at the stage 1 and stage 2 crypto exchanges. The stage 1s are the ones that accept currency, coins, verification, trading volumes, and all of this. When you start looking at them, you know which ones you can work on and which ones you cannot. The stage 1 that accept fiat are the ones that we are trying to build more of. There is not enough exchanges out there that they will all take your money and turn it to crypto. But very few will take your crypto and turn it back to money. Which is, it's nice to see. Maybe 3 months ago you saw your little, what's that program called that you use to check your daily?
Blockfolio?
Blockfolio. He kept looking. This is the first time I've seen. Orlin does not have a relationship yet with any woman. He wants to have one, but he's been turned down tonight. And every day he's on his phone. I thought he's always texting somebody, but he's actually looking at his Blockfolio to see it go up and down, up and down. 2 months ago, his Blockfolio was 5 times higher than it was now. And so he's like, oh my God, what is happening, and so on and so forth. But when it turns and becomes higher, like probably 900,000 US dollars, his father is his worst critic. And his father kept saying and kept asking me, yes, but that's on paper. I want to see the money. We said in a very thick, but I want to see the money now. That kind of thing. I said, okay. You have to wait. You have to be patient sometimes. Otherwise, you lose everything. Next. So, while we're talking about crypto world, you guys are probably very familiar with all these terms. Can you believe all of these words have become part of the English language now? Oh, we just have to huddle. And that came from somebody making a mistake. Did you know this? Yes. Somebody wrote and texted somebody to say, what should I do with my cryptos now? He meant to say hold, but he mistyped it. And from then on, everybody started using it, huddle. And to the moon. We're always talking about going to the moon, but not Apollo missions, but this is waiting for coins that go to the moon. ATH is all-time high, and then of course, everybody's dreaming of their Lambo. One Lambo, 2 Lambos. It's like crazy people. Now, somebody took a picture of their Lambo. They said, from cryptocurrencies, I took this Lambo, but it was a little model thing, but the camera was really up close. Next one, please. So let's go to what we are talking about, the biggest threat and the opportunity at the same time. You see, the thing is, with cryptos, you're not under any supervision, but at the same time, while you are not under supervision, while you feel alone and while you act alone, you are not alone. Because there's a whole bunch of people who feel and talk and want to do things exactly the way you want to. Let's go to where they are. Next. Let's explore the crypto world. There are developers. People I work with are developers. They're building several things. In Ukraine and Russia, they are now developers building our private Bitcoin exchange because it's a big need for that right now. We are also basing our escrow services in a country called Belarus because of the tax incentives. A lot of people set up in Singapore, and the reason they set up in Singapore is because the tax situation in Singapore is much better for people who want to set up ICOs. How many people have already set up their own ICOs or thinking of setting up? How many people would like to set up an ICO? An ICO is an initial coin offering where you go out there and you get money from people to run the project that you think will change the world. Anybody interested in that? Okay. I want to know how to tell this, which way to direct all of this as well. So most of you came here to learn what? If it's not to run ICOs, you came here to learn. Get a lemon. You want to learn about trading.
How to make more money.
So many ways to make more. I didn't expect you to want to learn.
But we are
how
so
to-
shy here in Bulgaria. We are so shy.
You are so. Well, that's the first place you gotta be not shy. I'll tell you a story about my son. My son, there was a deal between a Greek guy who is also one of my developers, and it was an Italian group in Milan that wants to buy 100,000 bitcoins. The group in Singapore and the Philippines were playing around. They were dicking with them. That's an American term. You look it up. And so as a result, the Italians didn't want to continue with the deal. They want to look elsewhere. So my son didn't stop. He couldn't stand the fact that the Greek guy could go out and have dinner, and how can he eat when this deal is sitting on the table, 100,000 bitcoins, and his part in that was 1%. 1% of 100,000 bitcoins at 12,000 bucks or 11,000 bucks is a lot of money. And so he didn't stop. He hasn't slept for 2 days now, my son. But in the process, he now found more buyers than he has bitcoins and sellers. So he's looking for people who've got bitcoins to sell. Tranches of 10,000 bitcoins, 50,000 bitcoins. If you know anybody who owns a farm in Bulgaria or elsewhere and they want to get rid of their bitcoins, we have buyers everywhere in the world who would like to buy them. And they'll buy it at CMC price minus 3%. That's all they ask for. Just keep that in mind. So we have developers, we have cowboys, we have miners, and we have traders. We're going to talk about all of them today. Next. Now, can you imagine this thing in your basement? All these machines, can you imagine?
Yes, I can.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you can. This is what we are building. We were originally going to build it here in Bulgaria. It's called a mining farm. But then in Lithuania, there is a 2,000% rebate if you build a crypto farm in Lithuania. Did you know this? I just started learning about it last week. I'm going to find out more, and if you want more information, go to bitcoinmasterclass.com, register your name, email, and I will send you more information, more updates as I find out. My lawyers are finding out if this is true. If this is true, then we will move. I am so sorry, Bulgaria, but we will move from Bulgaria to Lithuania because they are paying us to set up a farm. So that might be a good thing for you as well. Why am I telling you about it? Because this world of cryptocurrencies is huge. One man cannot take the whole thing. Even Bob Proctor and I share a simple belief. From
What kind of machine you use in this farm? What kind of machines? Ant miners or video?
Ant miners, we'll come to it in a second. I didn't intend to talk too much about it, I just wanted to skim the surface because I didn't know how deep you wanted. Maybe the next talk we'll go into depth in all of this as well.
Can you please repeat the website name?
bitcoinmasterclass.com. I registered that because I want to teach people for free how to trade in Bitcoins, what it's all about. And then later, next month, we'll do another class called CryptocurrencyMasterclass.com. Just go there and I'll teach that as well. I have some very bad habits. I don't drink, I don't smoke. I wish I did because it looks like a lot of fun. But I do register domains for fun. So I have over 3,000, 4,000 domains. Every time I hear a name, I go, good name, check it out, boom, boom, and we do it. It's an illness. Anyway, let's go further than this. These are what the farms in China look like, with all of their cooling systems. China, Russia are spending hundreds of millions of dollars with these farms, and most of them are underground. Next. Now, these are the computers that are used. Antminers are ASIC, application-specific integrated circuits. There are new circuits coming out right now. You can buy these Ant circuits cheapest in Europe, I found in Finland, which is not far away from here. There's a man named Storland. Remember I told you about this fellow named Storland, last name, I don't know what his first name is. He seems to be selling it. Every time he gets 100 GPU cards or other 1070 cards, they're sold. Boom, within seconds, within minutes. So you want to be on every Facebook group. Facebook may have stopped all the advertising, but the groups are still running. So if you can be part of every group, and the mining operation will yield you a tremendous amount of money. My friend in Singapore started a year ago a mining farm in Singapore. He started with only selling 10 GPUs at a time in a stack, in a little machine, for $5,000, $10,000, $8,000. Now he's charging much more because the prices have gone up. And as a result, he's now building an entire office building that's 20 times this size, doing nothing but mining, because he doesn't want to do anything else. He's making more money, and he's generating approximately 900 to 1,000 Bitcoins with all his machines. So you can imagine how much money is involved. He doesn't want to tell me where the place is. We are friends. So you can imagine also. There's a lot of software out there that does CPU mining, but those things are very slow. And last I heard, even the ones that mine from your GPU, from your computer, there's a virus going around, the Monero virus. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
I maybe have something to do with that. It's not something I planned, but I hired somebody in the US to come up with this idea, because I know that people cannot afford, not everyone can afford $10,000 mining rigs and things like this. So I asked him to ask his deep web people to create this software so I can give it to the people for free. So in other words, we can run a program or a YouTube channel, and you can take the program and mine it with controls. You can mine it, and depending on how much of your CPU you want to use and all of that, you know what that idiot did? He took it, and I never heard from him again. All my money disappeared, and next thing I know, I see these infections going up. And so I deeply apologize to the world. It's a simple idea, but people are not nice. Next slide. These are the cheapest countries in the world to mine 1 Bitcoin. This is as of last year. The cheapest country in the world is Venezuela. And lately, Venezuela has enacted legislation to put people who are miners in jail and seize all their machines. So they don't want that, because the government has come up with their petrodollar, their own digital currency, and so on and so forth. So the next ones seem to be either in the Caribbean, right here, area where electricity is cheap, and should be somewhere in here. In Belarus, if you set up a mining farm and you hire people and you make money, it's tax-free from March 28 onwards. So if you're planning to do that, I would highly recommend that as well. And Lithuania, let me check and I will tell you if that's true. Myanmar is a Burma, old Burma, and that's a place to do it as well. Some people are now doing it in Burma next to the hydroelectric plants. So that's where they have all of this as well. There's a fellow in Australia. This is not public knowledge because he doesn't want the world to know. He has this, have you heard of Nikola Tesla? I don't want to sound like I'm crazy, but how many people have heard of Nikola Tesla? Yeah? Okay, good, wow, fantastic. Well, he came up with some free energy generators, machines. And usually it's all the crazy people that's involved in all of this, right? But now this fellow is not crazy, he's a physicist. He's sitting down and recreating some of the machines to generate electricity. So his first thought was, why don't we use this to generate and pay for all of our stuff that we're doing by mining Bitcoin. What a brilliant idea. It costs them nothing, zero. Just the cost of the machines that will be paid off within 6 months to a year. Now, that's an amazing thing to do when you think about it. To be able to have free electricity. The guy who created Tesla cars, what's his name? Elon Musk did not expect a problem to occur with his cars. If you buy a Tesla car, anywhere you stop near this electrical stops, you can charge your car for free. So what these cryptocurrency enthusiasts did was they put their mining rigs on the top of their engines while they're charging the car. They're also mining Bitcoins with their machines, and that's draining electricity. So that's a major problem that they have to deal with. So I don't know how they solved it, but it's a huge problem. Next slide, please. Now, this is the total ownership of all Bitcoins in the world. Can you imagine this? The ant pool itself for the ant miners is about 25%. Now take a look at everything else around the world and who owns what in terms of Bitcoin. That's amazing. Now there's only, how many more Bitcoins left? Does anybody know the exact number?
4 million?
4 million.
Something like that.
And they say it's going to be finished by
21 million?
2021.
Yeah.
And after that, what?
Only the transactions.
The trading, and it's going to go up, right?
Only for
Unless-
the of miners.
Unless somebody starts to include more blocks and starts to create more blocks in it. So some people are talking about that. Now Bitcoin causes in each transaction $35, but they brought it down with the Lightning Network. Are you familiar with that? Okay, with the new Lightning Network, and what is the fork that they did, the SegWit?
It's an improvement.
It's an improvement. No, the PS, what?
P2SH?
P2, write this down, P2SH. Study this because this is new. This only happened the last few days. And so this is supposed to do this. It's supposed to bring the cost of transactions of Bitcoin down from $35 to $1. So we're not sure if it does that. But I have some friends in Germany who began a small company and they created their own cryptocurrency with a fork from Bitcoin. It's called Bitcore. How many people are familiar with Bitcore? Very, very quick transactions. If you want to make a lot of money, people, now Bitcore is at $20, I think, roughly today. Buy it because it's going to be 1,006 probably within 8 months, 6 months, easily, because it's being adopted. And right now, not a lot of people are adopting it. I don't know about you, but I have over 3,000 of those. It will go up very, very quickly. If you want another thing, people are asking me what to trade in. What I have a lot of money in is ADA, Cardano. Are you familiar with Cardano? Cardano is the next level, next generation blockchains, and these guys are amazing. There are so many people, very bright people working on the project, and they're going to succeed. It's not yet available, but it will be available probably within 6 months to 8 months. They say, but we don't know.
What's the name of the coin?
Cardano. And the coin is called ADA, A-D-A. At one point, at the ATH, at the all-time high, it was $1 and how many cents? 20? About. And when I told people to get in, it was in October, it was at 2.5 cents. Now it's about 30, a little less than 30. Still the best time to get, because probably by the end of this year, 2018, it will be $6 to $10. Trust me, these things are strange how they work. Next. So, the problem with the people is they think that too many people are leaving their jobs, becoming miners. Well, sure, of course, if you can earn $1,000 to $2,000 to $5,000 a month instead of your stupid job that's paying you what? Nothing? What would you do? And people say this is terrible. We need to stop mining because this is destroying jobs. People no longer want to work at jobs. Well, what they're not looking at is the positive side. Mining has solved the unemployment problem in the world. Think about it. A lot of people were unemployed before, and all you gotta do is start with $50 or $100, and you can get in and do amazing things with it, and you will never ever lose your money. I mean, unless you're a complete idiot, you will never lose your money. It's not possible. You will at least make twice, if not double or triple or quadruple. And if you know what you're doing, oh my God, people like him, people like me are cleaning the market because we're looking at the teams. And I'll go through the teams and what to look out for in a few minutes. Next. ICOs. Let me see a show of hands again. How many people want to start an ICO or would love to if somebody gave you a set of instructions? Okay, good. These are roughly what you're going to need. So I suggest you go to the site I told you. I'll have it in the back of the things and download everything I'm about to show you. I'm not going to explain, otherwise we're here till midnight. So I'm going to go step by step by step, roughly the parameters, the metrics you're going to need, and what you need to start an ICO. Would that be useful? That's a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thanks. Start. Next. The top 5 ICO markets in the world on which to launch the ICO is the US market, #1 so far, Switzerland #2, Singapore, where I chose to set up a home as well, and Canada and Great Britain. Now, Singapore is really a really great place to start a business. Unlike some places in the world, a foreigner can start a company in Singapore 100% owned. You don't need a Singaporean local person. So that's amazing. They made it easy for you. In Bulgaria, to start a business, like I did, I own several businesses here. It took me a lawyer, it took me a few weeks, it took me permissions, I had to wait from Sofia, and and I don't know who's making money in the process, but my lawyer is smiling all the time. In Singapore, just go to this site. I didn't write it down, but it's called, if you got a pen and paper, acra.gov.sg. Just go there. And online, you don't have to be present. Online, you can start a company without a lawyer, without all the hoo-has. And then they give you a list of accountants that you can use to become the secretaries. You need a secretary for the company to file your papers, They'll send you a bill, and the bill is never, ever more than $500 a year. Hello? What an easy place to start. And so everybody and their mother, from Estonia to Switzerland to everywhere, come here to Singapore to make things happen. Now, Switzerland is also one of the best places because it's tax-free. Almost everything you earn in Switzerland is tax-free. There are no real rebates, but again, there's safety, and nobody's going to check on what you're doing. The US, you have to go through SEC compliance. If your token and the thing you're creating is, SEC compliant, then you are free and clear. You got to make sure that your token and your coin is not a security. Otherwise, you have stringent regulations and you have to file for many things. And then later when I finish, I'll tell you about what I'm launching as well. And then so you'll know. Next. In the Asia Pacific, this is what we call a heat map. This is current as of December last year, a month ago. Australia, Hong Kong, Indonesia are countries that have enacted a ban on cryptocurrencies, a few bans, with certain stipulations. India is going up and down because India is a real democracy. The people are deciding, and that's why it's in such a mess. Japan is one of the most friendliest places also to launch a cryptocurrency exchange if you want to do it now. What's going to happen is you're going to have to go through regulations because of what happened with the heist, the hacking that happened to that last exchange. They want to regulate the exchanges. But otherwise, if you have an ICO, Japan is one of the best places to launch. My ICO is called Ethereum. It's going to be launched in Japan, simultaneously in Bulgaria, simultaneously in Belarus and Singapore, so that you will know. Now, Philippines has launched its own e-peso, and the government is experimenting with it. Same with Singapore. It's starting with the Singapore digital dollar. And these are just experiments. They don't know how it's going to work. They have no clue. They really have no clue. But a lot of people are mining in the Philippines, and they are stationing their crypto mining operations next to geothermal vents, just like Iceland. And these are amazing. And the way in which they beat the heat, because it's very, very hot in the Philippines, is they have them in deep mines, probably about 200 to 300 feet. I don't know meters. I cannot think in meters, so I don't know what that is. Somebody help me with that. It's quite deep. So anyway, Singapore still, even though you have all of these little regulations, the regulations are nothing. One of my friends started an operation in Singapore. He's from Australia. It's called 10X. Have you heard of 10X?
Yes.
Okay. And they have no product. I'm sorry. They have a service, a credit card service, a cryptocurrency credit card service. That's not theirs. It's somebody else's that they have. And since that somebody else is under the whole visa hoo-ha-ha that shut down everything, now they have nothing. So I helped them by asking them to go to Lithuania, where you can get a banking license and you beat all of this and you create your own visa thing. But that's not coming up for another 6 months and 8 months. Banking license is a bit hard to get, but once you get them, you can do anything. That's why if you want to be a real crook, to get away without going to jail, start a bank. This is really how the crooks get away with stuff. In the States, you've got people who are really wasting taxpayer dollars, their bailouts and everything, and yet they are continuing to lose so much money. And at the end of the day, they go bankrupt with whose money? Yours. And you work very hard for it. So that's what my brother and I are changing when we launch Ethereum, because we are a bank. We are a distributed bank. In other words, you'll be able to come to us and we'll be able to give you everything you need in banking supplies and everything else, and even to make and send money between countries like Western Union. Do you know Western Union's 2017 profits were $150 billion? Just Western Union alone. That's crazy. And the Forex exchange, $147 billion a day. That's amazing. Forex. Just on Forex. So imagine cutting all that out and you keeping all the difference. So this heat map will be very useful for you, but remember, this heat map is going to change in March. Every month it changes. Next one, sir. Why do people go into ICOs? Because the traditional VC funding is very, very tough. The rationale for getting funds is after they have to build prototype, then they have to validate that prototype, then they have to take the investors cautiously through the business plan and to make sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. They start with seed money that pays for all of this, then it goes to Series A, Series B, Series C. This is your normal investor traditional VC funding. Now you have hybrid funding, which is a combination of this plus pure ICO funding. So people are now going into this because it does create, these are existing companies that already have a product or a service or have been running for several years. So they're using a hybrid to be able to make this happen. Very few startups will start that now because this is so much easier and this is so much easier. It costs virtually nothing. Now imagine this, pure ICO funding is based on a white paper, your founder's team, who your founding team is, and simply that, an idea. Hey, I have an idea. And what did the EOS come up with, and what did Filecoin has an idea. The idea is my computer and your computer and her computer and everybody's computer here has empty storage space. Why don't we share this stuff? And then we don't have to pay such exorbitant fees to store all our materials and all our information and all of that. It's an idea. Whether it's going to become reality, I don't know. So people jump in. So anyway, next. Global funding so far. North America has been the biggest one because they started most of these ICOs and everything else. To date, 16.7 billion. Europe coming up in the world, 4 billion. And Asia, the giant. This figure in Asia is expected to quadruple in 2018, 4 times. The rest of the world, 312, that includes Africa. Now, don't forget Africa. Oh my God, the African, well yes, there's 90% scams in Africa, but can you imagine the numbers of people? One person may not have 100,000 to invest in your product, but 100,000 people have $1, don't they? And that's the whole of Africa. And you got a lot of people, and so while a lot of people forget about Africa, that's one of my target areas as well. Because there's a lot of unbanked people in the world, people who don't have access to banking. So they're in Africa, they're in parts of Asia, and they're also in parts of South America. I intend to reach those people, 3.5 billion people unbanked. That's a huge market. So if you're starting an ICO, think about that, or join me. Maybe we can work together as a team. Next. Why ICOs are so popular? Because it's a democracy. Everybody has a consensus. Everybody agrees. If everybody agrees, we go forward. If they don't agree, we don't go forward. Opportunity to invest accumulated cryptocurrency and opportunity to trade immediately with the tokens that you produce. Can you imagine that? You have a secondary market. Not only do you raise money by the tokens, but you have a secondary market in trading. So the owner, the starter, the person who begins the ICO, keeps for himself 20 million tokens. And he sets it off into the market. Now the market values it at 10 cents or 0.00 cents. And then through trading, and they do something called pump and dumps. You've got to be careful of that. Maybe the next class we'll talk about how to pump and dump, so that you guys will recognize how to pump and dump as well, because I am friends with the pump and dumpers. Now you ask me, why is somebody like me, Dr. Mel Gill, straightforward and making friends with pump and dumpers? Because when my ICO comes out, I don't want them to hurt me. See, because they'll have respect. They'll not want to do it simply because I'm giving them all tokens. Enough distributed so that there's no whales. If you have enough whales, you can do a tremendous pump and dump. Next one. By the way, yesterday, before you go, there's an advisory service that just started in Singapore yesterday. It's called the ITSG. I'm not sure what their website is because I'm not there. But these are some of my friends who are they're placing themselves as policemen. Their job, because they see so many people coming in from all the Eastern European countries, South American countries, and Africa, and so they want to protect Singapore as a reputable hub. So they report all cryptocurrencies. If you want to start in Singapore, talk to me. I know these people, and they'll be able to review your ICO. But make sure you have a good ICO with a good plan, and you really are there to help the world. But if you're in it for money, then just stick with trading. You'll make enough. Cool? Next. This is for you to take home. I get scared looking at this because you pay attention to so many things when you start an ICO. What the whole thing is all about. What, why, when, where, how, who. All of this is all taken care of here. You must incorporate all of these things in your tokens. You must be able to have a use case for your ICO. Is your token just there for trading, or is it for use within the ecosystem of what you are creating? If you started an ICO, what would you call your token? Just give me a name. What would you call it? Name an X1 or something. Huh?
Bonus.
Bono. Okay, his ICO is called Bono. Now, if he starts Bono, I'm going to ask him, okay, when you use Bono, when I buy Bono, what can I use it for? Just give me an idea, right? We're just pretending.
You can buy advertising.
Hmm?
You can buy online advertising and use it.
Advertising that you're going to be selling and all that. Great. So the more Bono I have, the more discounts I've got. See, he's now got a use case. And that use case is what makes him and his token legitimate. But if somebody else tells me that it's no use, if you have 100,000 bonos, his is bonos too, that's what he calls it, then you just have it, that's it, it's for trading. You will be shut down by SEC, they will hunt you down. Now the SEC goes out, you gotta understand this world is very dangerous. The SEC is the Securities Commission in the United States, Securities and Exchange Commission. If one American buys your token, one American, they can come after you. They can shut you down. Any country you're in, makes the CEO of my company. It's not me. I'm just a founder with a vision. I have a vision for several things that I need to build so that the world is free from financial slavery. The CEO is the former CEO of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the CME Group. Are you familiar with the CME Group? It's the largest exchange in the world. He retired last December, and as of this past December, his non-compete clause has expired, and he has agreed to be on board and to be able to build everything, the exchanges, the banks, and everything else, because that's what they do. Hundreds and hundreds of billions a day go through their exchanges, and he says this is a piece of cake, it's nothing. He also happens to be my brother, so that helps. Next. The ICO market, you need to take a look at the advantages and the values, because the new ICO market, that's why it's called 2.0, it's really, you have to take a look at the trust ranking that your ICO has. You need to have a community that builds it up. You need to involve a lot of people who are also sharing the same ideas. Even though they have their own ICOs, you can work together as a team or as a group. There are many project ideas out there. You have to be, first of all, transparent with your investors. You have to have all of these good ideas. You have to have bounties for mining if you choose to make your coin mineable. Some people choose not to have mineable coins, and that's okay, that's fine. It works in a different context as well. And then you need to take a look at the ICO marketplace. Now that Facebook is out, there's still so many ways in which you can let people know that your ICO exists. Our people are working on that right now. Next. These slides are all yours, by the way, for you to look at. So what is needed? A business model. Then you need a token model, a model that works. What platform are you going to have it at? Some people have suggested the Waves platform. If you want made for you, done for you, then it's Waves. Just go to waves.com. Is it waves.com or?
It's Waves.
Waves something. Platform. Is it platform.com? And there, they will launch your ICO for you. They'll do it all of that. And the other one was one that you were talking to me about. ICO list, is it?
One of them, yeah.
ICO list dot
CO.
CO. They will also launch for you, and they'll do everything. So compliance, SEC compliance, and these services are coming up, a lot of them. Half of them that I talk to are bogus, they're not real. If the phone doesn't ring, if there's nothing that clicks on the website that has, the links are broken, please, hello. If their links are broken on their website, what do you think they'll do to yours? So you gotta be very, very careful with all of that. Then your team, who is your team? Do they have experience working on this? And then you know straight away from the team members, straight away you'll know if the ICO is there just to take your money and your cash, or is it there to really change the world with a really great idea or concept. And then the initial funding, where is it coming from? Are the members of the team putting their money in, like I am, or are they using this for seed money to go on to the next thing, to go on to the next thing, to go on to the next thing? And then you need very, very good legal advice. Don't try to do it yourself. I've had people come up with their own contract because they borrowed from here, borrowed from there, borrowed from here, they put it all together, it's like Frankenstein. And they bring it to me and say, Mel, is this working? Is this good? I read it and I go, have you been drinking rakia while you do this stuff? Oh, sorry, what the hell is this stuff? You know, you can't bring this out. This is not legal. This is not correct. My son was about to engage in a contract earlier this morning in Singapore, and I told him, drop it. Take it to my lawyer, one of the best in Singapore, and the lawyer will advise you that this is pure shit. I've done enough contracts to know that this is pure shit. It sounds legal, a lot of legal terms, but it's crap. It doesn't protect anyone. It's just an idea. And the lawyer said the same thing. They said, this is crap. This has to start from scratch. And he's so, always have legal advice. Without legal advice, don't start. Nothing. Don't start anything. Next. So, while investors are on a buying spree, they tend to overlook a few things. Those of you who are trading, these are how you recognize if an ICO is pure shit and you turn around and walk away. The teams are not experienced. They're doing something else. In my case, I am trying to change the world. I created this whole but I put together a team that has already done it. People who built mega exchanges, I want them to do it on a P2P basis, peer-to-peer level. Can they do it? Yeah, they did it before for 20 years. They can do it very easily. The digital marketing expert from the CME is also on board, and she's doing it. The other person who's on board is the old, I don't know if you remember that American Express was involved in the bond markets many years ago, before it all crashed. The CEO of that bond market is also on board. The ex-CEO is also on board. The ex-CEO of the Dubai Mercantile Exchange is also on board as my team member. And also at the same time, the CEO of the former Commodities Exchange in Malaysia, Rubber and Tin, is also on board. An oil palm is also on board. I want to make sure that my team is crack. I mean, really know what they're doing. Otherwise, I'm not starting this because I don't know anything about an exchange. Due diligence. You have to study them. Go take a look at the website. If you can, go to their offices and check it out. Questionable valuations. Where are the valuations coming from? How come their stuff is worth so much? Lack of pre-seed funding. That means they have not enough money. They're depending on your money to be able to do some other stuff. Lack of transparency. They're not telling you the whole story. The legal framework is terrible. The token is unaudited. That means the contracts, the smart contracts are not edited. You remember, every time they give you a smart contract, you got to look for that little sign that says it's been audited. There are several auditing firms. I think about 5 of them only right now. And these auditing firms will audit the smart contract. Otherwise, it falls apart. There will be all kinds of problems when you launch something that fails halfway through. And then, guess what? It's okay if it's just a token, but it's people's money you're dealing with. You're in big trouble at that point. Take a look at where there are problems. If the thing can sink, it will. Murphy's Law. How many people are familiar with Murphy's Law? If anything can go wrong, it will. Look out for those things. Scams and frauds. They're outright scams and frauds. I don't know how many of you have seen it. Right now, I am the proud owner of Bitcoin.com. But wait a minute, it's Bitcoin, the N with the dot underneath. Did you think these scammers are so, they gave me an idea. I said, what the hell? I might as well do this for fun. They created a site called Binance.com with all the N's have a dot underneath. And that's a Turkish thing or alphabet or something. People are not paying attention. They clicked on it and they said, please, re-log in for security. And then straight away your password and everything is given to them and they empty you. They take everything out from you. Be very, very careful. The scammers are everywhere. And where are they coming from? India, China. There are people sitting at their computers who are so smart, smarter than you and I can ever hope to be, and they say, let's listen. How can we take money from stupid people? And that's what they do. So please pay attention to all this as well. Overfinance project. Overfinance project, there's so many of them out there. I can't really name them because some of them are my friends, and this is being recorded. And then security, are their wallets secure? Secure means that they have an encryption, and they also have multi-sigs, multi-signatory. Am I missing out anything on that?
Multi-signatures wallets.
Hmm?
Multi-signatures wallet.
Multi-signature wallet, yes. Multi-sigs means, sorry, I keep asking questions. Sometimes I use short terms. Next slide. Now, ICOs that launch, this is what you have to look out for. The price can kill you. If you put a token out and you started off at 10 cents, and the market drives it down to 0.001. Now you are screwed, really screwed. You've got a worthless company running on worthless tokens, and it doesn't go very far. So you're going to be in big trouble. So you got to make sure that you're okay, and you got to. There's ways to do it, and one of these pump and dumpers taught me how they do it. You have to stack buy orders and you have to stack sell orders in such a way that it keeps the volatility less. We'll talk about that one day. You got to take a look at market manipulation, where people are pretending to be you, pumping and dumping, front running, and whales. Whales are people who come in and buy 25% of your token. Now, if they come in and they buy 25% or more, then they can slowly, sitting down somewhere, raise the price to a particular price, amass as much as they can, sell it off, and then wait for all of you to panic and sell off your stuff, and then they buy in again and repeat the same thing again. It's like Jane Fonda doing the exercise. Breathe in, breathe out, become a billionaire. Breathe in, breathe out, become a multi-billionaire. That's what they're doing, and they're doing it all the time. In fact, the next pump and dump is going to be done with Bitcoin. So I believe there's a fellow named Cliff High who also believes the same thing. He listens to linguistic patterns on the web, and he puts the linguistic patterns together, and those patterns tell him that Bitcoin is going to surpass $60,000 before April. He thinks April, but I say probably July. And so, diverging interest of founders. This is what happened to the Tezos team. Their interests started to separate, and so they were not aligned with their values and everything else. One of them was a big billionaire. Unfair token distribution. You're giving more to some people because they not whales, what do you call the people who buy a tremendous amount? Like families and friends who own a lot more than they need to, or some members. What we are doing with Ethereum, just to let you know, is we will only control 10% of the tokens. We will not have. The rest of the 90% goes out to the world. We have no control, zero. Once a company has 50% control of their tokens, or 51%, like one company you were talking about, which company was that?
Wasn't it Ripple?
Huh?
Ripple.
Ripple, yes, Ripple. That's being controlled by the banks. Hello. You know, they're deciding what is happening up and down, and they want your money, so this is what they're doing as well. It's not the people's cryptocurrency. This is something else. So anyway, pay attention to that. Execution delays, ICO cash outs. When you have starting your ICO, please do not cash out, and make sure you have terms where all your founders do not cash out for at least 2 years. They have to be vested in the ICO itself. All right. Next. 2018, Singapore will probably climb to second place. By 2020, the government of Singapore wants to make Singapore the ICO hub of the world. How do I know this? It's not a prediction, because the monetary authority of Singapore is like the central bank in Singapore. I happen to know some of those people. Can't tell you how, but I just know them. And this is their plan. They know that cryptocurrency cannot be controlled, and that eventually the masses will decide what it is. So they want to make it safe for everyone, and especially safe if they have ICOs, legitimate ICOs, basing themselves in Singapore, so that Singapore can say it's a #1 ICO hub in the world. Let's see if they execute that to high heaven. Next. The pace of ICO funding has surpassed angel funding and seed funding. Now, this is as of July. Take a look at that. ICO funding has now overtaken VC funding of every kind. Next. So when you take a look at your tokens and your value variables, you have to pay attention to these three things. What is the role of your token? What are the features of your token? And what is the purpose of your token? If you can answer all of these questions, my God, launch, do, begin something. If you cannot, if any one of these you cannot, then don't start. get some experts to work with you, wait a few more years, see what's happening in the ICO world. Next. This is important. This is what I wanted you to take home as well. These are the ICO metrics that you have to pay attention to. If you are setting up an ICO, please study this like nobody's business, because this is what we studied and knew inside out. These are the metrics you need to have for your ICO to be able to make it work. Next. Cryptocurrencies has polarized the world. People in Japan have amended the Payment Services Act to allow Bitcoins to become part of its intricate society and culture. The Monetary Authority of Singapore is beginning to collect public opinion. South Korea is banning a lot of people and putting legislation in on ICOs. China is an outright ban on mining and cryptocurrencies, and soon ownership and so on and so forth. But the Chinese are very resourceful, and you know they're going to be overseas, and now they're coming in hundreds of thousands to Singapore, and you will soon see them in Belarus as well. So
And Hong Kong.
and Hong Kong. Yeah, Hong Kong is actually not a good place because they can still, it's also part of China. And so that's why Binance is having some problems and issues and has started moving its operations to Canada and a few other places as well. The CEO of Binance is an amazing guy. I think Binance is going to be the #1 exchange in the world next to Bittrex. I think it would be amazing. Anyway, this is yours to see. The Central Bank of Indonesia is now outlawing cryptocurrencies. You cannot own it if you're Indonesian. Isn't that funny? So I don't know what these people are afraid of. Do you know? They're all afraid. They're running, scared. And Vietnam is opening its doors, just to let you know. They don't want you to use, in some countries, your cryptocurrencies to buy non-cash items. In other words, you cannot use cryptocurrencies to buy houses, cars, and things like this, because you need to pay the goods and services taxes. The VAT that you pay in Singapore is called GST, goods and services tax. So they want to get that. So the government of Singapore is made up of very, 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 very smart people. And so sorry, it's just being recorded. And these people just had a very bright idea. Let's use goods and services tax and apply it towards the valuation of personal property and public property and cars and all of that as well. Guess what? You can buy your car with a cryptocurrency or any cryptocurrency in Singapore within the end of this year. Isn't that amazing? Wow. Okay, next. We're near the end. So this is the latest that we can get now from Bloomberg. Oh, by the way, Michael Bloomberg is also an advisor to my ICO because of my brother. My brother knows everybody in the financial group, so Michael is agreed to help us with the information services part of what we are doing, because everything is related to fake news as opposed what is fake news as opposed to what is real news. So we need to understand that as well. So China is banned. Major exchanges are closing down. Miners are being arrested in Venezuela. Exempted Bitcoin from value-added tax. UK is way ahead. Japan recognizes Bitcoin as a legal means of payment, but they are overlooking the establishment of exchanges because of the last thing that happened. And the US, of course, commodities, Singapore, Canada, and Hong Kong. Some of the ICOs being produced by Singapore, by ICOs in Singapore, Hong Kong, they imply that you own, by the token, you own a part of the company. That's a security. Straight away, that's no longer a token. And if your token pays people dividends or something else, that's also a security. You're also in violation, so just pay attention to that. Your token has got to have utility value within your ecosystem, period. End of story. Next. The top ICOs so far in Asia as of 2017. are all these companies. They are my buddies. This number has grown to 120 million so far because people are still buying 10x. And all these people are all part of Asia. And where they're from kind of tells you. Next. This is the final thing, final slide.
There's two more.
Really?
It says,
Really? Okay. The final useful slide. To date, the Filecoin has raised 257 million in 1 hour because people were anticipating it. So their Telegram, is it called Telegram? That service, it's huge. They're following. Tezos as well has achieved 232 million. But these are over-financed. They don't need that much money, really, to create what they need to create. I mean, probably about 20 to 50 million max. That's all they need. This is over-financed. So what has Tezos done? They went and created a VC funding platform with 50 million of their money so that they can now fund, and this is very smart, they can fund smaller operations that are running using their proposed system and their proposed software. That's amazing. That's again, it's an inside value system, which is what ADA is doing. Now that Charles Hoskinson is the CEO of Cardano, and now he's finding himself a new multi-millionaire because of his token, is now doing that as well, creating a VC funding for people who are going to be using the ADA platform. So if you're interested in starting something with software that is probably coming in about 6 to 8 months, you may want to get a hold of this guy as well. He lives in the United States. It's a little complicated. He lives in the United States, but his offices are in Hong Kong, and he goes there once in a while. And he also has a foundation, part of Cardano, in Japan. So his team is international, everywhere. What's the other two slides? Let's see. Oh, okay. Just asking a question. Are we a growing, decentralized community of idealists that are trying to change the world? Or are we just a bunch of lunatics that have banded together to create something out of nothing? What do you guys think?
Can we be both?
Maybe we're both. I don't know. I know I'm trying to change the world, but I think I may be crazy. All those years, what is it, about almost 40 years of looking after people who are mentally ill. I'm a psychologist, just to let you know. Maybe I think I've finally become insane myself, thinking that I can change the world. But I think we can, because this time it's going to be real. My purpose of Ethereum is simple, is to redistribute the wealth throughout the world. I want, I don't know a good African name. Give me a good Obi-Wan Kenobi, no, that's Star Wars. Opofo. Opofo. Oh, they even have a clicks in there. Opofo. Probably lives on 50 cents a day. I want him to be able to create something where he can now, like everybody else in Bulgaria and other countries, Croatia and Singapore, be able to create exactly the same value and earn exactly the same thing. And this way, we do not have poor people and the rich people, and the divide becomes less and less and less. Right now, only 3% of the world's population owns 95% of the world's resources. That's crazy. And if every billionaire in the world gave 1 month of their salary, whatever they earn, dividends and everything, 1 month, every billionaire on the planet, there's not a lot, there's very few. 1 month, we will end world hunger and world homelessness, houselessness, for at least 6 years. But we're not doing it. So it's funny when you see big, mega, and I love the guy, Bono, of the token, with the group and all of that. He's a mega millionaire. He's one of the first investors in Facebook who became an even bigger billionaire. And he's going out doing concerts to raise money for Africa. Hello, why don't you give half of what you have? All of Africa is saved. But
Consort is making money?
hmm?
When the consort is making money too?
Money, yes, but how long does that last? How long does that last? You know, out in the street here, I know when I'm sitting at Costa's, those guys know me. I've seen some of the children that are there asking for money. I've seen them growing up. It's crazy. After 4 years, they grow very quickly. And I know their mother works in Happy's. It's really not far. I see that. I know the ecosystem here and how it works. And there's one gypsy guy and his sister that as soon as we see him, his sister will come 15 minutes later. It's just like clockwork. We can say, hey, hi, how are you? You're getting nothing from me today also. You know, just like that. But some people need it. Some people out there just need it.
And do you know that these kids are in fact the third generation that are going to pay?
Third?
Yeah.
I believe-
They get bigger brothers and sisters than they were middle, and these are the next. So it's about 15 years of how this family in fact make their money.
You know, I believe if I taught them how to start an ICO, they'll scam the world.
Yeah.
Probably they will. What's the last slide? Oh yes, okay, good. This website is not up yet, but this is going to be the website for the exchange. Bitcoin Masterclass, I run that, I own that, it's being built. Go there, register, tell them, or whoever is there, tell them you'd like all the copies of this slide from tonight, and they'll send it to your email, okay?
That's a story I can get.
Welcome back. Where the hell? Stop watching porn and just pay attention.
I have blockers.
Go to the bitcoinmasterclass.com site, put your email there, and tell them you want all the slides from tonight, and it's all yours, freely. Cool? In about a month and a half after beta testing, this exchange will go live. The exchange also comes in tandem with an escrow service, the Bitcoin escrow service, so that all transactions in Bitcoin will be safe. We're also making the UI, the user interface, so simple that your grandmother can buy Bitcoin. Not so complicated.
The exchange, is this decentralized? The exchange,
Yes.
is this decentralized?
No, we're starting with the decentralized exchange first because it's easy. So we're setting one up here in Bulgaria. We're setting another one up in Belarus for obvious reasons. We're setting one up in Singapore to handle all of Asia, one in Australia, and we are now negotiating with a Mauritian company to set one up in Mauritius as well. We're also blockchaining the government in Mauritius.
And when will it start the exchange?
Probably, if these guys don't give me more bugs within a month, because they've been working on it for about 2 months and it's like bugs beyond belief. If I have problems, everybody's going to have problems. So I want to make sure it's bug-free before we go out. Ukrainians and Russians are working together on that. It's not cheap, it's very expensive. I didn't know that.
It's about 2 or 300 US dollars.
That's not, I'm paying much more than that. Somewhere in the region of 100 and something.
300,000 US dollars.
Yeah, thousands, yes, correct, thousands, yes. It's not cheap,
Yes,
trust
I
me.
know.
If I knew, I wouldn't have started it. But anyway, doesn't matter. But
You
anyway,
know, one day you may be
A billionaire, or a multi-billionaire.
okay, I'm gonna tell you something, you'll be the first ones to hear it, and I guess this is recorded also. Ethereum, when we start, we are also starting a mining operation. We are doing a very big mining operation. I intend to put about 50 million or so of funds into it. Why? Because we want to generate not just Bitcoin, but several other major coins, and we're turning them straight away into gold. Why are we doing it to gold? No one, none of us will own the gold. It will be a trust, a public trust, which means I no longer control it. No one controls it. The public, the community owns it. The people that own Ethereum, the tokens, are the people that control the trust. The trust's only purpose is to back Ethereum with gold. And we're going to do it and keep doing it until Ethereum is finally a fully gold-backed value-to-value systems cryptocurrency that supersedes Bitcoin. It's just a vision. I think within 5 years we can make that happen. And then there will be no poverty in the world. And no one controls it. Neither I, nor anyone, no whales, no one controls it.
And my question was, what kind of machines to mine do you use?
Right now, the best ones are the ant miners, Antminer 9s.
S9, yes.
S9. They're the only ones so far that the people in Singapore recommend. Although the Antminer is coming up with a new thing. We were looking at that the other day. Remember the Singapore guy?
11th, maybe in March.
Yeah, because he's waiting.
It's a rumor that they
Well,
release one next.
This guy is saying it's not rumor. This guy is saying that he's already ordered and pre-ordered.
Oh no,
But you know what I think is happening?
no.
Can we turn this off?
Yeah,
No, you
it's
have
on.
to turn it- you have to turn it off. That part you have to turn off.
Talking about terrible things anymore.
What about Tronics? Tronics.
A lot of people are expecting that to go up, but isn't that Chinese fellow who's saying a lot of things about it? Was it Jason or Justin something? Justin Sung or something like that? The guy's a fraud. Do you not know this? He's a fraud. Everybody knows he's a fraud. So you're going to have to. There are two things. There's two parts of me you're talking to. One is the fellow that wants you to be safe with a company that's good. Then there's another part of me that says, okay, this thing is out there, it's trading, you can make money. Do you want to or not? Up to you. It's up to you. Only invest what you are prepared to lose.
You can afford to.
Do not get a loan and start to invest thinking it's going to be this. Don't, please don't.
Sell your kidneys.
Huh?
Sell your kidneys, for example.
Sell your kidneys.
Maybe much better. This much they have events and we show is fraud or not about Tronics. I know that that guy was launched CryptoKitties, you know?
CryptoKitties, yeah.
Mhm.
He's making billions of that. That's a lot of money. And it's a good
now
test.
Tronics built crypto
Yeah.
dollars.
You know the other CEO, the Cardano CEO, was involved in the Ethereum project. I don't know if you know that, many years ago. And now he's being very vocal and saying, look, they cannot even handle CryptoKitties. So that's no good. Come to me, I'm going to create that. So I don't know. I am not a trader. You have to know this. I just would like to build solid things and make it go up. It's just that unlike my friend over there, Orlin, who has turned his father's 20,000 into 100 and something thousand now, with some of the trades that he has, I only went in with maybe 20 or 25. How many did I go in with? 20, 25?
Yeah, about the same.
Around that. And I've turned it into maybe 300,000 so far. Because I'm precise about what I want to have and what I think will grow. And I will put in maybe a little bit more in other, and I think that this whole, less than 3 months ago when everything was high, my portfolio was nearing $1 million. Like everybody else. So slowly I watched it fall, and it was, I mean, yeah, there's no Viagra in the world that can bring that sucker up again.
You know, I sell everything just 2 days before Christmas.
Wow, you are so lucky.
Yes.
Applaud that man.
I don't want to spend all my 4 days on the screen. So I sell everything. I get a lot of order, I get a lot of reposts, I get
Wow.
about a lot of lumens. I sell everything and said, okay, I will just celebrate my holidays and I will buy them after the holidays.
Genius.
When I saw the market after the holidays, I said, fuck.
I should take his number down. Whatever he buys, you buy. Whatever he sells, you sell. My son is the opposite. So far, he's been taking money from me, I told you, because he has no money to pay his bills. And every time he buys something, he thinks it's going to go up, it goes down. And every time he sells something, the thing goes up. Yes. That's what I told him. And I told him, hey, Luke, would you buy ADA? No, I don't think so. And it still works till today. It's so good. It's the opposite. But he thinks I don't love him for that. He thinks I'm making fun of him. So that's from his mother's side, the genes. So thank you for your time, people. I appreciate your coming here in the middle of the snow and everything. I know it's very difficult. This world is exciting. It's exciting because for the first time, I'm not just a motivational speaker that can change the world with your thoughts and, oh, maybe we all sit together and the law of attraction will work. It doesn't work that way. You've got to work very hard. Here is a real opportunity to take charge of your finances. And if you do it properly, and you find the good people who trade well, follow them. Don't follow the people who don't, who sit and expect it to go another 300% and it doesn't. So you don't know. I cannot foretell the market. I'm not a financial advisor. I really am not. And I cannot tell you what to do or what not to do. You can call me and find out what I'm buying and buy the opposite. Maybe it will work. I'm not sure. But again, thank you very much for your time.
It was one hell of presentation, very interesting. Very a lot of details. Thank you very much.
I'm here to help as much as I can.
I want to ask you about Ethereum, and do you have some plans to have some operations here in Bulgaria?
Yeah. Different countries have different purposes for Ethereum. In Bulgaria, we are a stepping stone into the rest of Europe. The reason why Bulgaria? Well, A, it's my home, number one. Number two, I think within 2 years we'll be part of Shenzhen. So if I hire Bulgarians to be able to do this, then we can probably take it out without VAT and all of that to other countries in Europe. So that's my long-term vision for Bulgaria. Right now, if I try to hire some Bulgarians, their prices are too inflated for what they think they can do. They go to the internet and find out what a blockchain programmer makes, and they are charging me that, but they have zero experience. So I don't understand the thinking behind it. So I'm looking, I'm hiring people actually right now. Programmers and all of that, I need that full time. If you are willing to work with me on a vision, then it will be great. Singapore is our Ethereum's accounting or forensic accounting base. So all our forensic accounting will be done there. That means checking accounts after all of that. Japan will be our expansion, and of course Belarus is where we report all our taxes.
Is the project built on Ethereum? Is your project built on Ethereum?
The token will be given out in Ethereum right now, and then we'll do a swap or an airdrop later.
And your project is built on what?
We are talking to the ADA team right now to see if they will work with us and give us the programmers for that, but they are 8 months before any completion of anything. But right now, it looks like if we were to run it on Lumens, Stellar Lumens, I think we stand a better chance of running the P2P exchange without problems.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, these are still in discussion mode because I need a flawless system that will be around for a long time. I don't want to start with something and then find out that a year later the company has gone bust and we are like, oh, what the hell? You know, and we can't do that. So it's an ambitious plan, but I want to buy the company we use the product from. Does that make sense? It's just like pulling X being bought.
It will be very tough to buy Stellar.
It is very tough. It's very tough, but you can buy into it. You can buy a portion of the company, and that's not a problem. Or you can amass enough tokens to set up several master nodes, so that you are, you know, a person they turn to. I think I have enough honor to become a master node already.
Really?
Yes, sir. I told you I believe in this company like nobody's business. I could be wrong. Could go down to zero tomorrow.
No,
I don't know.
I'm also a fan of the Kafka Carbon project, and
Yeah.
I have to make a lot of due diligence
Yeah.
about their project. So I know that they have 4 rounds of investments. The first round was only Japanese companies. The second round was Japanese and South Korea. The third was Japanese, South Korea, and Indonesia, Hong Kong, and something like that.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of companies that are involved.
They've been around a long time.
Yeah.
They've been around a long time. And
So on this point, I agree with you.
yeah, I'm looking in the long term. I'm not looking short term. Again, if you build something of value, make it last, and then people will remember you. You are immortal for life. But if you take people's money, then the only thing you have left is your reputation. If you don't have a reputation, you're finished. You cannot do any business. You cannot do anything.
If you have 1 billion, you don't need the reputation.
Remind me not to hire that man. Thank you. Next company that he starts. Yeah. Again, thank you.
Thank you. Can we upload the presentation on our page?
I'm giving it to people, so it's okay. It'll be good. That way I'll have your email as well. Is that okay with you guys?
Okay.
Good? So we keep you abreast.
Okay.
Yeah.
But make sure you don't spam it. Make sure you're not spamming.
That's entirely exactly what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Alright. But you're free to use the video.